We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And this is our podcast. And I have my host with me today. I have Raksha from Miami. I have Alina from Poland. And I have Jackie Zaccoli from Arizona. And she's global with the Gen Network. And then my name is Carol Witt, and I'm the founder and the director for YEA Global. And we just went into 63 countries. We are now in Italy. So excited. And guys, we have another amazing guest. We never not have amazing guests. And our guest today is Linda Madden. And I've known her for a very long time. And we have just reconnected, and she is going to be head coaching my program in May, YEA Global in May. So please, Linda, come and share your story and inspire many of us.
Now, now I don't remember. I'm just gonna say that out loud. No, no, no. All right, so I want to give a little bit of about a background, a little bit of background where I come from. I come from originally from Boston. I grew up in an Irish family where girls had their particular place in the world. And I come in and it's like, oh my God, where did she come from? And like I was more towards like being a tomboy. I was more interested in hanging out with the boys and playing the game. They were more interesting and I had more fun with them. So I was somebody who definitely walked to a um different beat of the drum. And that's what my brother always said. He would always say that about me. And so I grew up in an environment where it wasn't easy. I grew up in a poor environment. We were poor. And what I got lucky with was I was really good in sports. And that helped me pull me out of that. Anybody that knows about poor neighborhoods, we have projects here in our country where, people are, it's subsidized housing, people, single mothers, lots of single mothers, lots of kids. So I was raised in that type of environment, which was very street, I'll say that. And so as I'm growing older, I'm discovering things about other things, like I went to, I mean, it sounds silly, but I went to a friend's house in high school for dinner, and I was amazed that they all sat and behaved themselves at the dinner table, and the parents were sitting with them. That didn't happen in my house. So I think the point of that was I started discovering that there's more out there than what I was being raised in. And that piqued my curiosity. And I did things that girls weren't supposed to do. Well, you can't play baseball. What's wrong with you? Girls don't play. Yes, they do. I do. I love playing. So I was that way. And I would, and I was just this kid, down at the park, and this woman walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to play softball for a team. And I said, sure, I'll try. And she told me where to go, and I went and I made the team. And we traveled all over the country playing softball. And I met women from all over the place. And it was a wonderful environment for me to grow up in because I grew up in around people like me. And that's what I was looking for. People that are like me that don't mind getting dirty playing baseball, softball. And I was a softball player. And during that period of time was the 70s, early 70s, late 60s, where women didn't get, scholarships for school and things like that. So I went, I didn't experience that. And so fast forward years, I was in a yard in Florida, and I was talking to this woman, and she said to me, some people have to be the pioneers, Linda. So I got over it, thinking I wasn't going to go to college on a scholarship and all that, yeah, you're right. And so now I was talking to a friend this morning, about the basketball, women's basketball. That was something we tried to do years ago. So then basically that's pretty much my background. I was really tough. There was things that happened that made, grew up and developed myself as a tough person because someone had to protect me because there was nobody out there protecting me. So I had to learn how to do that myself. I built a very strong foundation, like nobody's gonna mess with me. And then I moved to Florida, and I met the my life partner and went through some, that she went through cancer and passed away. And a year after that, I got introduced to Landmark. And that's when my life took off. And I was so excited about, living a transformed life, that I threw my name tag in the hat. So I spent many years assisting with a lot of Landmark's programs and being in their leadership program. I assisted many years with Carol Witt, and we created the courses over there on the west coast of Florida without a center. And it took quite a team to do that. And I was part of building those teams. I was a course supervisor in Landmark, and I was also a staff member. That's what brought me to the East Coast, was being on staff with Landmark. So I've been here ever since. Um, um, I've been gifted. I do have a gift, and I have this intuition that has me be very I don't know, present. I'm going to say the word present in the space of anything and everyone, that I can be someone who can make a difference in people's lives. And that is what's huge for me. And, I'm going to say this. Carol said to me when she asked me to be a coach, she said, how she sees me is compassionate, heart, and making a difference in people's lives. And I carry that every day. I take that on every single day. Even I was just in a course this past weekend with Landmark. And I had so much fun. I don't recall ever having fun in those courses, but it's a leadership program, and I was having a blast. I had a great time. And I was watching people. The thing I enjoy the most is watching people transform. I actually can see the shifts in people. Like, you look at them, go, wow, she just got 5 years younger, like just in one day, and just seeing the transformation in people's lives. And I even, you get to see people on it. Well, still makes me a little bit uncomfortable when someone's on it, but I'm getting better at not taking that personal. So I think being trained and developed in Landmark, I do have to say I retired last year and I didn't know what I was going to do. And so, just creating, I'm just in a space of creating and creating. And, I get to say what's so in my world. Like, I get to say how my life goes. And I get to do that by, getting off it, is one of the major things, is like just, not reacting to things. And yeah, so I don't know if I've given you anything about me, but I think that I'm excited. I'm very excited about this chapter in my life. I just lost my brother. He passed away last year. He's my Irish twin, and we were very connected in since birth, of course. And that was a huge loss for me. And so it had me really alter the way I was looking at the way my life is today. Like, should I follow him and go with him, or should I stay here and make a difference in people's lives? And that's what I chose to do. So it's not, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. There comes a time where you have choices to make and you can make them. And I chose to live powerfully this chapter in my life. And, and a few things I want to get out of it is having a life partner, because I gave up on that a long time ago. And, it was like when you lose somebody like that, it's you protect that in that memory in your heart, and it stays there forever. And so, I think that it would be okay if I moved on. I think so, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is it. This is me. All in a nutshell, for sure.
Beautiful. Okay, guys, who has questions for Linda? I have a question for you, Linda. So my question is this. You are about making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And we are about making a difference for women across the world and young women, women that are just stepping into their lives and their journey. And I want to know, in speaking to that audience, what would you say to them inside of all of your life? What would you say to them to inspire them to step into that journey with a passion and an energy and wanting to make a difference? What would you say to them?
Well, I would see what's there. I would I would definitely talk to them, but to inspire them would be to understand that what happened to you as a child doesn't dictate who you are today. It just doesn't.
Mm.
And for a long time, I really felt like it did. Like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't, I don't know how. I mean, something happened when I was 6 years old, and I was in an unsafe, the environment I was in, there was my parents going through a divorce, and there was a lot of chaos, and there was just what created was an unsafe environment. My mother allowed, there was no man in the house. It was my mom. So she allowed her sisters and brothers who were younger than her bring people in. And one of them decided that he was going to have his way with me as a 6 year old. So that happened 3 times in that situation. So what happened was I totally blocked it out. So throughout the years, as I'm growing up, I'm realizing, things I was being a particular way and didn't understand why I was that way. And it's when I did the IOP back in 2006 where it got revealed to me. It was revealed to me, and it was when I was doing the mosquito thing on stage, and yeah, and that's when it came out. So throughout the years, I've been using, like, really developing myself to let go of that. That doesn't define who I am today. Everything that happened to me in my life has me be who I am today. See, but I don't have to be the victim in that. It's already happened. It's not happening now. It already happened. So I was able to get that complete. Okay. And so, and be honest, there's a woman right now that she's in a course I'm in that, that continues to bring her past, and it stops her from moving forward.
Mm.
So
So,
I'm a little apprehensive about helping her because I don't know if I'm going to open a can of worms that I don't want to open. But it's like if I can bring her to get support other areas, because I'm not an expert in that. I mean, yeah, I experienced it. I went through it and I lived it, and I got it complete. See, that doesn't define who I am ever, and it won't. So yeah, that's what I would tell them.
got it. Thank
Yeah,
you so much because there's so many young people that are dragging their past into their present.
absolutely.
And thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So, yes, wise words of wisdom, our listeners, please listen to that. Your past doesn't define who you are. You're not a victim to your past. I love that. Thank you, Linda. Okay. Jackie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Linda, it's just kind of interesting of what I didn't bring out when you and I were talking. It all of a sudden occurred to me after we spoke. I was a PE teacher,
Oh, wow.
and I don't claim that much with my BA in physical education and a minor in life science. However, we relate in a lot of ways. Um, I was the first girl on the baseball team in elementary school. I
Mhm.
did not travel, although I was in the soccer and basketball in college. So we relate in various ways that I totally understand. My question to you, how is it that you wish to do this coaching? Um, I know
Sure.
this is a biggie. You and I spoke about that, as to how have you defined any of that, of what type of coaching you want to be. You can't just, I guess you can go out and say, well, I'm Landmark, I'm a coach, but I think that needs a little more definition of that. How have you come along with that?
Well, boy, that's a good question. I think for myself, what's happening is because of an experience I had with a gentleman yesterday in a training program I'm in. I was enrolling him in something, and I was able to see right away like who this guy was. He had a rock behind him. He had this big rock, so that tells me he's the rock of the family. He's the power. So I saw that, and I looked at him, and so I don't like developing myself. It came so easy to coach this guy into something that he wasn't interested in the beginning, and then when I got done, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to register." So, yeah, it's kind of like I have that ability to actually see anything that's stopping anybody in life. I can see it. So, yeah, so he was a guy that he has two grown children that he still supports. He's, putting them through school and doing all these things because I think he's afraid to let go and let them fall on their face, right? So, like there's all that was there and I could see it. And then he mentioned his sister, and that's where I went because of my relationship with my brother. I saw an in to go in and just have that conversation about his sister, and that seeing he could have that breakthrough with his sister. And he was able to see, after I spoke to him, he was able to see that, yeah, maybe there is some other way to do this, because the way I'm doing it's not working. So there has to be another way to do this. And then he was able to see that for himself. And so he was going to register into something. So I don't know. I mean, I could tap into age, any age what I want to do really is tap into the world of kids that grew up with domestic violence, people that grew up in single parent homes, like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
have this
yeah.
conversation that they're not going to be able to.
Mhm.
That is where, no matter what they're up to, no matter what they want to do in their life, they can have that option. That's a choice they can make. They just don't know they have the choice.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of like, well, I'll give you one example of what I mean. When I did this program back in 2006, my whole life just went crazy, and I ended up nowhere to live. And so I had that fear going into this program again, that was going to happen to my life. And I had a conversation with another coach about it, and she said to me, she said, "Well, don't let that happen." And I was like, "Well, I do have that power. I don't have to have that happen. I don't have to go through that again." So it's sort of like you base your experiences on things that happen to you, right? When you were young, and then you live life like it's the truth and it's who you are, and none of it's true. It's not who you are. So finding that key that stops that person from experiencing who they really were born to be. Because we're all born to be something, and life happens to us along the way. And it's how we look at that, and how I, as a human being, say, well, how is that possible? Well, throughout my life, I've seen things that there's just no way you're going to tell me that it doesn't exist. And, people don't just die. I'm sorry, they don't just die. their bodies, they leave the body behind because they have to, and they go somewhere else. And, I think from what I've experienced with people that I know that have come back and talked to me, I know that it exists, and it does. And there are people like me that for some reason we were born into that to come into this world. And my job is to find out what is my purpose in life? What am I here to do? I'm here to do something, but I'm not clear of what I'm here to do.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Okay.
you're getting
All right.
clear. You're getting much
Wonderful.
clearer. That's beautiful.
Alina, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, before asking the question, I was just smiling, Linda, because I have also some experience in what you just said. It's a topic for a totally different conversation.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Okay.
maybe next time
Yeah.
share experience, but I totally agree with you. But
Yeah.
getting back to my question, because you mentioned you had to become more tough, what
Yeah.
I totally understand. And because we want to empower women and girls, you already gave some advices. I just wanted to ask, what was the source of the strength? What gave you power to transform and to change your life?
Well, I was born between two brothers. Okay. So my brother and we're very close in age. My oldest brother's a year older than me, and my brother that's younger, he's only 10 months younger than me. Now, I spent years arguing with my mother about, me being a tomboy, because that's what they called it back when I was growing up. And I was a tomboy. I just loved to play sports. And, there's a picture that my grandfather gave me back in 2004, and it was a picture of the five of us, right? Me, my oldest brother, me, my brother Dave, my sisters. And I looked at the picture and I thought, my mother has my two sisters dressed in this pretty pink, dress, and they look really cute with their little bows and all that. Then there's me in the middle between two of my brothers in the picture. And I am dressed similar to them with the striped shirt, the suspenders, and all that. And I'm thinking, all them years you gave me such a hard time, and look how you dressed me when I was only 3 or 4. I think I'm looking at the picture right here. I think I'm 5 in this picture. Okay, I'm 5 years old, and I'm sandwiched between two brothers, and I'm thinking, no wonder why I grew up a tomboy. I, so, and I had a lot of boys around me when I was a kid, so I just grew up. If my brother was doing something, I had to do it. I wanted to do it just like he did. And he was and I ended up being a faster runner than him and a little bit better player than him. And it was a challenge between him and him. When we played games in the neighborhood, we had to be on opposite teams because nobody would play against the two of us together. So I really just, it was something inside of me. See, when that happened to me when I was 6, I left my body. I left it. And I didn't experience the physical trauma. At what I saw was from above looking down. And so I knew in here to just get strong because no one's going to do that to me ever, ever again. And it has happened a couple times after as adult, having a guy say he was going to do whatever. And I said, no, you're not. And he looked at me and I said, what does that make you feel like a big man? I wasn't afraid. There was a strength that I had in me, and I think it was something that I got when that all that trauma happened to me. I got stronger. Some people, I thought things were different. I was something wrong with me for many years, thought something was wrong with me because of the way I would react to things. And I spent years seeking that out, trying to find out how to end that. Like I don't want to be angry anymore and all that. And what happened was I sat down and I wrote a letter to the 6-year-old. And I spoke to that 6-year-old and told her, and I praised her for getting through something like that. And like, could you imagine? I mean, now as an adult, I look back, could you imagine what was happening to this 6-year-old back in those days? I'm not surprised I'm strong as an ox and I could I could go with the best of them, but I wasn't that way. I didn't want to be like, fighting people and stuff like that. And that's how I was raised. So, I had to, I did a lot of changing because I didn't like it, is what it was.
Mm.
But being strong, oh, that just comes natural. I have a very strong grandmother and I have a very strong mother. My mother was amazing. I mean, for her to raise 7 children, there was 7 of us, and I mean, all I said to her when she was dying, I said, "You are a tough nut." She said, "I had to be." And I just sat quiet with her. I had an opportunity to just be with her, just me and her. And I just sat very quiet with her. And I looked at her. I said, "Is there anything you want to say to me?" She said, "Nope." I said, "We're good." And she said, "All right." And that was it. And that was the last conversation I had with her. So yeah, I was lucky. I had very strong genes. I had a very strong mother. She
Yeah.
went through a lot, worse than me, probably.
Wow.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much.
What a story. Um, Linda, very
Yeah.
inspiring. Because I know who you are and what you've done in your life and how you've made a difference. And it is why I invited you to be on this podcast, because I
No,
knew
thank you.
the story you were going to share would inspire many. Many have had that kind of experience in their life, in their past, and
Yeah.
it doesn't define them. And
Nope.
you are proof of that. So thank you for sharing so graciously with us. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any more questions? We do have just a couple more minutes and then we're going to go ahead and end. Is there anybody else that has a question for her?
I will. I kept on putting my hand down because she answered what I was going to ask in the other two ladies. And I go, okay, I'm not repeating myself. Um, but there is, like you said, you want to coach other people that have gone through similar things like yourself. Um, do you do you plan on developing a program for that? Or right now, if I was to come to you and say, hey, Linda, need you to talk about this and share about it more. What would you say to me? Because there's so many people out there that could definitely do with your support.
Mhm.
yeah,
And some people may not even know what they've gone through. Like
yeah,
there's still people out there that they've blocked it out so
yeah,
well
yeah.
that they don't even know it's running their lives.
And the thing about it is like really like the way that I was developing myself through the years, I just kept seeking. For me, I kept something really close to my heart when I was a child. I used to sing that song, Jesus Loves Me, to myself. I would sing it and go to sleep at night. And not knowing why. And I had an incident when I was 12 where somebody did something and I didn't tell anybody. When I was in the 6th grade, somebody tried to abduct me and I didn't tell anybody. It's like what happened was I had a therapist say to me, "Who taught you not to tell? That's what you got to look for." I was like, nobody. And I couldn't remember anything. And it took me to be out of my comfort zone for it to actually reveal itself. And it revealed itself when it was supposed to. That's what I believe. And because that was where I had a lot of people around me that could help me go through it, where I would do certain things like, because I would react just like that. It wouldn't even be a thought. It would just be a reaction. And I wanted to learn how not to react. So I would do practices, that seminar leaders would give me, say to me, or one seminar leader, to be truthful. And she just got married on Saturday. But she Maria Lancelotti. Carol's got a weird look. But I'm
I know
saying that
who.
I did practices and I learned. So there's certain things like I was coaching a woman not too long ago, and she was dealing with some stuff from her past. And what came right to me out of the conversation was, when did you feel that you weren't worthy? And the worthy came up, like just came up out of nowhere. I am in the beginning stages of developing this because it was something I didn't know. It's just, I know that I can help people. and I can help, and I can create a safe environment for them to share their stories. How it looks, I don't know. I'm in the process of doing that. And it's actually coming out right now because I've had this similar with Jackie. I've spoke to her and, Carol, and just really, I really want this to be something that people, will want to do and get coaching around and be more successful in what they're up to in life. I talk to young people all the time. No matter, I talk to people in the grocery store. I don't care where I am. I talk to people. So
So
yeah,
beautiful. So
That
beautiful.
is a really good way of doing it, is being able to speak to anyone,
Yes.
yeah,
any place, right?
yeah,
Because you just don't know.
right,
And
We
there's
don't.
a lot of focus out there in community around trauma, around unrecognized trauma,
right,
because a lot of our reactions come from something that happened way back when,
Mm.
and we as women are trained not to bring it out, not to
right,
say it. At
Yeah.
least the older generation, right?
yeah,
Is don't talk about it. We don't need to know. Da 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 da. I'm so proud of you for stepping up
yeah,
and helping other people realize that just because does not mean there isn't something there. And nothing has to be there, but
right,
always be aware that there might be something there.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
So
Trauma.
beautiful.
And that's what I talked about. People really dealing with trauma, there's nowhere for them to go to deal with that, really, other than mental health. And not everybody's going to do that.
Right.
Why would I go to mental health? Why would I do that if I can do this otherwise? People there, I see it. I watched this woman try to take herself out of a program, a leadership program by, reasons and all these concerns and all this stuff. And what I did was I said to her, what's great about it is you're getting to see all the things that stop you in life. And you get to put that over here, thank it for sharing, and just stick it right here over here. And then you can create anything you want for your life. But you have to get complete with things. You can't bring stuff into it because it's not going to work like that, and it won't work. So it's really getting face to face honest with yourself.
Mm.
I sensed a young girl. I sensed something was there. I acknowledged her because I wanted her to know I see you. And she told me she was practicing sitting and looking like, a professional. What was she doing was she was hiding something. And she was hiding something that was bothering her and stopping her from participating in the program because she was up here in her head. So what happened was I made a suggestion to get coaching around it. She got coaching around it, and in front of the whole entire weekend, she said what it was, and just let it out there into the audience of, well, this is what's going on, and and then people jumped on and said, I'm going to help you with that. The leaders, I'm going to help you with that. So it was kind of like getting to see that, to be able to feel safe enough to say, this is what's going on with me, and I want to create that kind of environment because I know that in an environment like these kids, because I was one of them, that you gotta, they don't trust any of yous, none of yous, they don't trust. And when you come from trauma, you develop ways of being that's different from the norm. It's different because, and just, I was looking back at how smart I mean, I was brilliant in some of the stuff I did. I was like to protect myself.
Oh, yeah. Survival.
Yes. And I was good at it.
We're in
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank God
Wow.
it's so hard to live in survival. I just
Yeah.
would never wish it upon anybody.
Mm-mm.
It's a hard life to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing yourself the way you have.
Thanks.
And I know you're going to touch many people. Many people out there are going to hear your story and you're going to touch many. Please make sure you put your information so they can reach you in the chat so I can put it up in the description of your episode so people can reach out to you. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So, guys, thank you again for an amazing episode. These episodes are so heart-centered. Will touch so many, and we don't even know who all it will touch, but we know it will. So please, if you love these episodes, please share them. Please share them with everyone so that they go out everywhere. Let's make them go viral so many more young women will hear about this. If you love these episodes, please subscribe to our channel. And if you would like to be a guest on our podcast, please reach out to one of us. We're all over LinkedIn. Reach out to one of us and let us know you would like to share your story. Guys, every story is different. Every woman has a story. And we want to give you this platform to be able to speak it, to be able to inspire and empower other women across the world. And one last thing. We all deserve to thrive in life. Let's do it together. Don't go it alone. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
We stand as one, there's no divide.